A super dead man.
13.
Stinky dead man. Whom Jesus loves. Who's super, super dead.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Gospel Unplugged. Pastor Ben Cieslik here today, joined by
Pastoral and Popp.
And we are discussing a fun,
great story.
It's the raising of Lazarus. It is almost the entire chapter of John 11. We're going to read some selected verses because it's really long, but it's really good. So as has been the case over the last couple of weeks, I'd encourage you to go back and read it in its entirety. There's some amazing details and fun things to pay attention to, but we're going to read selections. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany. So his sisters sent a message to Jesus, "Lord, he whom you love is ill." But when Jesus heard it, he said, "This illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. And when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to him and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha said to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." Then Jesus came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, "Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead for 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone, and Jesus looked upwards and said, "Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, he cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." And the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." What do you want to talk about?
I love this story.
Good. Why do you love it? Or why don't you? Or are there parts that you don't like?
I love the humanness of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I one of the phrases that kind of haunts me for its truth is Martha, and Mary says this as well. We don't get that in this selected version, but "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died."
Yep.
It is this profound statement of faith in Jesus, but also a recognition that he wasn't there.
Yep.
And so they are left to deal with the grief and the pain and the sadness of death.
Yeah. There's such a deep longing there for Jesus. But it's tied, yet, like you said, with a trust that like Jesus could do something, could have done something. That's the part I struggle with, is that Jesus doesn't do something.
He stays for 2 days.
He stays for 2 days after hearing that his friend, who he loves, is ill. I always read this, and I think this is just such bad pastoral care of Jesus saying, "Oh, this is for God's glory." Yeah. Like no, we would never say that to someone who's facing something this big. But they didn't know the end of the story. They didn't know what was what Jesus was going to show them about who God is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there is kind of a almost utilitarian approach to Lazarus in some ways, in that like Jesus, it can feel as though he is almost using this guy to prove a point.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel real great.
Yeah. Feels kind of icky. But this is the last miracle sign in John before the cross. There will be other stories and moments. And so this is like foreshadowing what is going to come.
It is this notion of the glory of God. Maybe not a phrase that most of us are real familiar with or really know what that means. But for John, it is the sense of the fullness of God's presence and power. And you see in this act, this sign, this thing that Jesus does, the fullness of God's presence and power on display as having power even over death, which is kind of amazing and remarkable and really sets then the table, like you said, for the cross that is to come.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also an important note to remind us that Lazarus is super dead.
Very dead.
Very dead. 4 days dead. Stinky dead. 1 day dead longer than Jesus will be dead.
Yeah.
And
Princess Bride. I mean, he's not mostly dead.
He's not mostly dead. And he's so dead that Martha doesn't even want to approach the tomb, but Jesus does. And that's, this death is something that we don't want to touch. Yeah. We don't want to smell. We don't want to be around. And Jesus gets really close to it. And then calls Lazarus into life by his name. Lazarus, come out. And he does, but he's still bound. Like his hands and his feet are bound with strips of cloth. His face is wrapped in cloth.
Death still has a grip on him.
Death still has a grip on him. And then Jesus says the final clinching verse, unbind him and let him go. That is like such powerful freedom language of Jesus freeing us from that which kills us and binds us and keeps us in death.
Yeah, I can't help but think of, what we heard last week in the Good Shepherd discourse, where you hear Jesus saying, my sheep hear my voice. And there are echoes of this as Jesus calls to Lazarus, and that calling even pierces death.
Yeah.
And calls Lazarus from the grave into life. And there's something really beautiful and powerful about the strength of God's call for us, God's love for us, the places that Jesus enters into for us.
Yep.
Even the stinky and smelliness of death.
Yep. Yeah. There's so much. We could talk a long time about this story.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably worth noting Martha's confession of faith.
Yeah.
It is one of the fuller confessions of faith that we get in John's gospel, probably second only to Thomas post-resurrection.
Yeah.
I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world.
And she claims that in grief and loss.
And before she's seen it.
After Jesus didn't show up and do what she knew Jesus was, like, it's unparalleled, like that kind of trust. Yeah.
And I think that's helpful for me too, to think about, like, in those moments where you can't see the fullness of the promise, when you are overcome by despair, when you said, Lord, if you would have been here, stuff could have been different. Like, it didn't have to be like this. All of our laments of the ways in which things are in this world or aren't. And yet like that explicit naming of that reality stands alongside a deep faith that someday, somehow, through the presence and power of God, things will be better or different or made whole. It's striking that she's able to articulate that so beautifully in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, preacher.
Preacher.
What are you gonna say about this? Or what questions you want people to consider in anticipation of Sunday?
Yeah. Thinking about that longing that Martha is experiencing, where do you long for God to show up in the world, in your life? And then what does faith look like in the midst of that longing? Seeing Martha as an example, as a model for us. And then, because this is a story about new life and resurrection, what are the tombs that God is calling you out of? What is that which still is wrapped around you like cloth that God is wishing to unbind you from? And then how is God doing that? Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Good story, full story. Again, I encourage you to read the whole thing before Sunday, and we'll look forward to seeing you in church. Thanks.